Trevor Lawrence has entered the draft. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It's great to be here with all of you today on January 6th, 2021. Correct that. As always, joined alongside Gavin Tony. Gavin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Zach. Listen, I got the Mac back up and working, so we're now on the trash full laptop. And yeah, it's a good day. It's a nice day outside, Zach. I might go outside after this, but how you doing?
Not for sure. I'm doing good. Like we talked about pre-show, not too much going on in the sports world overnight. Of course, a couple things we are going to break down, a couple things today. Upset last night, Spurs over the Clippers. Los Angeles Lakers barely pulling through against a Ja Morant-less Memphis Grizzlies. The Sixers still currently hold the best record in the NBA. If they win tonight, they will continue with that. But with that being said, Gavin, we'll go right into it. Ever since he was a true freshman, Trevor Lawrence declared he was a big name in the draft. And I think that a lot of people knew that. Won his first year in national championship game against Alabama. It kind of shocked the world. Alabama was on a roll. Clemson hasn't won since the quarterback before him, which of course is Deshaun Watson on the Houston Texans now. But you take a look at it, we knew he was going to be a top prospect. We didn't know how high at first. But ever since the beginning of this year, he's been the number one overall pick. He's been the guy all year long. And we know whoever would get the number one overall pick, which, funny enough, is currently the Jacksonville Jaguars, it looks like that's where he'll go. We'll break it down. Look, him, Justin Fields, Micah Parsons, Devontae Smith, who just won the Heisman Trophy last night. Jamar Chase is up there. Of course, a couple of the guys I just named are not going to necessarily be the first overall pick. It's uncommon to see wide receivers like that. But, of course, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, other skill position players, not necessarily, but, of course, quarterback. And that's been the most popular number one overall pick this previous year was Joe Burrow. And if he comes back healthy next year, which we're all hoping for, it looks like he can help turn that Bengals franchise around because they were starting to look good before he went down. Kyler Murray, of course, although they had a disappointing end to this season, they were able to turn it around as well. He was the first overall pick. Baker Mayfield, as much as he might get some unnecessary or necessary criticism from people out there, they're in the playoffs this year. 0-16 before Baker Mayfield got there. He's made the Cleveland Browns a fun team again. Of course, they have a lot of other talent, but it's what gets you started. That first overall pick, bringing in Trevor Lawrence, bringing in the top prospect in the draft, it's attractive to free agents. It's attractive to potential coaches. It's attractive to general managers. And frankly, if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, I got to ask you, Gavin, do you think Trevor Lawrence is their guy? Do you think that he'll go first overall?
That's tough, Zach, and here's why. That game versus Ohio State, I saw a lot of things I like from Justin Fields. One, his resiliency. All right, Zach, you took a nasty, unnecessary shot. A shot that I don't like seeing in football, but it is football. But, you hate to see it at that level. Comes back and lights it up after that. And Trevor Lawrence had no answers for it whatsoever. Now, Trevor Lawrence, we get it. He doesn't lose that much. He's been a star. He's been all that, this, that, and the third. But, Zach, here's the main deal. When it comes to Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, I like Justin Fields more than Trevor Lawrence. It's the style of play that Justin Fields has. It's what the NFL is transitioning to. Not saying that Trevor Lawrence isn't a mobile quarterback. We all know Trevor Lawrence is going to go number one. But personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields goes number one and Lawrence goes to two, perhaps maybe even three. Or we don't know what the Jets are going to do, Zach. The Jets might draft a coach, all right, for all we know. But when it comes to this debate, I think Justin Fields might go number one. He has an option to get out on his feet and make things happen in open field. We saw the deep ball on display versus the Clemson's defense, who I may add, that's not a slouch. It's like when it comes to this debate, it go either way. I'm going Fields at 1 and Lawrence at 2, but it could go either way, Zach. If you're a Jacksonville Jaguars, you have a tough pick, but you can't go wrong with either one.
Look, as of right now, at the moment, Trevor Lawrence is the number one guy. Here's why. Again, he won national championship. He competed against SEC defenses year in and year out. I'm very high on SEC defenses. It's the best test. With that being said, Justin Fields is playing an SEC defense next week on Monday. If he lights it up against them, Gavin, there's a slim chance, I think you're right, that Justin Fields does become the first overall pick. However, at the moment, I do see the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's a no-brainer pick, at least according to a lot of their viewpoints, to take Trevor Lawrence. He's more pro-ready. If you're ready to kind of take a step back and develop a quarterback, I think Justin Fields has the higher ceiling. But it's a similar conversation that I had last year between Tua and Joe Burrow. If Tua doesn't get hurt, he's the first overall pick. Let's be real here. I understand it was not the best year for Tua, but all things considered, I think Tua will be fine. Miami Dolphins fans don't need to overreact to it. I think he'll be fine. With all that being said,
quarterback, Zach, for what?
I mean, take a look at it. Joe Burrow had the higher floor, right? He was the most pro-ready quarterback in that draft. But in my opinion, and it still stands true today, Tua's got a higher ceiling. I think he's a little more mobile. He's a little more accurate. Again, whatever happened this year, I'm not going to get into it right now. But that was my viewpoint going into the draft last year. And it's the same thing this year. While I think Justin Fields is a higher ceiling, I think that Trevor Lawrence is the most pro-ready and ready to be plugged in right away and help turn a franchise around. However, like you said, Gavin, you really can't go wrong with either pick, in my opinion.
You can't go wrong with either pick. You get best of both worlds. You get a pro-ready quarterback that's been going against tough defenses and has a couple national championships, or you get a quarterback that's kind of trending towards the style of play, which it seems the Philadelphia Eagles might be trending towards next year, which is the mobile quarterback, which is the outside guy. Zach, I don't know. I honestly don't know. If you're Jacksonville, this is the hardest pick ever. You can't go wrong with either one. But if you don't get the one, Zach, what if you get – let's say you get Trevor Lawrence. What if Justin Fields is better? What if you get Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence is better? Zach, you wish you had the first and second pick so you can pick them both and be like, all right, which one's going to be better? And then you figure out after that. I'm going with Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields a little bit more just because of his mobile ability just to get outside the pocket and do some things happen. Remember, Zach, he was in the playoffs last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was in there last year. He didn't do horrible last year. He didn't do horrible in the playoffs last year. They lost, but I think he was pound for pound with my
It was against Clemson, a game-sealing interception in the end zone. Wide receiver slipped on his route. It was not Fields' fault, if I remember correctly. Look, the case is closed for Trevor Lawrence. Justin Fields, though, has one more week to show what he's got. So I think it's going to be for him on Monday. I look forward to watching it. It's going to be a fun game. Ohio State, Alabama, although I do have Alabama winning. Let's see what happens. If Justin Fields can pull off a performance like he just did, especially if he's a little bit banged up right now, like you mentioned, Gavin, with that hit, I think, frankly, we're looking at a situation where there could be possibly a contention for the first overall pick. But again, at the moment, Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, is easily the first overall pick.
So, Zach, let's talk hypothetical. You ready? If Justin Fields goes out here and lights it up but loses, like I'm talking, he has 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. If he lights it up and loses respectively, let's say he loses 38 and to like 40 or something like that, what would the narrative be? Would you have to consider it or no? Does he need
and like I pointed out in the beginning of the show, ever since his freshman year, Trevor Lawrence was destined to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. But at the same time, Tua was last year at some points. It's similar to Zion Williamson, LeBron James. When these guys do, it's slam dunk, they're first overall. In order for Tua to be removed from that position, he got hurt, and another guy rose in Joe Burrow. This year, Trevor Lawrence didn't have a bad game. Clemson just overall was not able to perform. With that being said, again, the case is still out for Justin Fields. Does the narrative change? Not necessarily, but here's what would change. The Jets would be very comfortable going with Justin Fields as second overall. At first, you're like, all right, we lost out on Trevor Lawrence. That's not good. But right now, I think Joe Douglas is sitting down saying, you know what? I think Justin Fields would be a perfect fit here. O-line is pretty bad. He can extend plays. You start building around him correctly. You give him the pieces he needs. I'm not going to say the Jets are going to be good anytime soon. I'm never going to say that. Maybe in the future, but at the moment, no, I'm not going to admit the Jets could be good. But I would definitely think that the Jets front office will be very happy with that second overall pick. Whoever follows them, honestly. But again, Gavin, like you said, you really can't go wrong here. Assuming that's the narrative that right now we have that narrative, but for most people, a lot of scouts as well. If he lights it up against an SEC defense like Alabama, then the narrative becomes you can't lose with either one. That's kind of the viewpoint, at least coming out of that draft.
Zach, we talk about 1 and 2, right? Let's talk about the 2. The Jets have been talking about maybe trading down, maybe taking somebody else. If you are the Jets and you, first of all, You couldn't tank right, so you didn't get one. Zach, we know about that. Then you're going to trade away the number 2 pick. Zach, is Sam Darnold really that bad? Is it worth giving up on Sam Darnold? Yeah, I like Sam Darnold. He's shown something. But can he do it for 16-game period? We know Sam Darnold could do it for a short period of time. It's like, here's what I really think is going to happen. Trevor Lawrence probably will go 1. Justin Fields won't get taken at 2. Who's 3? Miami or Cincinnati?
Miami's either going with an offensive lineman or a wide receiver.
He won't get taken at 3. Who's 4? The Bengals?
Bengals are 5, I think, and the Falcons are 4.
There's where Justin Fields goes.
The Falcons
4 with Atlanta.
Do you see a trade of Matt Ryan on draft day?
I think before draft day.
Okay.
Before draft day. You have to do it before draft day because Matt Ryan's value is up. There's some teams that are looking for quarterbacks. Zach, Philip Rivers. I know Carson Wentz has been a head talk for Indiana. I would love to see Matt Ryan in a Colts jersey. Hell, we talk about Matt Stafford in a Colts jersey.
Or New England.
With New England for Matt. Anyone
for either
guy. I think New England gets Mac Jones this year. Mac Jones is a New England quarterback. But anyway, Zach, we talk about that closer to draft time. But if Fields doesn't get picked at 2, Atlanta, there's your guy.
Now, what about at number 6? Here's another question, and this will take us right into our next topic. Eagles picking 6th overall this year. I've seen a lot of mock drafts, and I've seen probably the same person made about 12 or 13 of them. So there's a lot of factors. One of them, Devontae Smith, one Jamar Chase, but there's another one that was interesting. Zach Wilson, the quarterback out of BYU, 6th overall, which would involve Carson Wentz being traded and Jalen Hurts either being traded or there. I don't know, but this is just a mock draft. Do you think, a possibility that's currently going on in the front office for the Eagles that they're ready to just take a new quarterback and just move on with what's going on right now?
Why would you take a quarterback at 6? Zach, that's like, let me tell you, that's like the Golden State Warriors getting the first pick and going out and getting another point guard. That's like the Philadelphia 76ers going out and getting James Wiseman. They were that high. Why would you do that? Zach, we're not no darn quarterback factory. We know that. All right? We know what the problems is. Zach, you talked about how the offensive line is going to fix itself. I would like to see Jason Kelce come back for one more year. If not, you got to buy yourself a center, right? We talk about the linebacking core. They weren't the best to start the year. They kind of ended out the year somewhat respectable. We know we can use Michael Parsons. Zach, the wide receiver core, don't get me started. Justin Jefferson's a Pro Bowler this year. We know what we need. Jamar Chase, Zach, the Heisman winner, Devontae Smith. I'll take either one. Either one of those guys. Jamar Chase may be the better option, even though Devontae Smith, he was the only number 1 guy there. But Jamar Chase was there. Zach, if you pick a quarterback at 6, I don't know what I'm going to do. There will be no show the next day. I'll put that out there. There will be no show.
Look, 6th overall last year was Justin Herbert, so that's an ideal position for quarterback. I think if Micah Parsons is on the board, you have to take him. It's a game changer on defense. I don't know what we're going to do about this seems a mess, and that brings us into this conversation because we have to have it. Miles Sanders came out publicly and said a lot of criticism about Doug Peterson's decision to bench Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld. You see Hurts on the sideline saying this is not right, things like that. Rumors come out that he had a conversation with Doug Peterson. Kelce posted on his Instagram this morning that he didn't. It was not as hyped up as it was believed to be. It just turned out they had a conversation about Sudfeld going in, and he believed that they could win with him. I do have another question, though. Where is the whistleblower? Why are the Eagles the loudest, most dramatic team in the NFL? Carson Wentz, you know how I feel about Carson Wentz. I love Carson Wentz. But why are reports coming out literally hours before games every freaking Sunday since he's been benched? Carson Wentz's relationship with Doug Peterson can't be repaired. Who the frick's leaking this information? Like, who's talking about what Miles Sanders is saying? Who's coming out saying Jason Kelce and Doug Peterson had a fight on the sideline? Who came out saying that players had to be separated from Doug during the game? There's no fans there to be able to call it. Who's leaking the information? Who's the whistleblower? Why can't
they have reporters in the locker rooms either?
Where they're quiet. Why is everything loud? Why is everything dramatic with this football team?
Zach, there's no reporters in the locker room, right? You can't do that. This is worse than the Kardashians, Zach. I swear. We might as well not even watch the Kardashians are going off this year, Zach. They might as well put the Eagles on. What is that? Lifetime? I don't know what that is. I'm serious. I don't know what it is. But
Yeah,
look,
I don't know what's the go-to dramatic channel. Move them off of Fox. They're not worthy of being on there.
they're not worthy on Fox. They're not worthy of Sunday Night Primetime. They need to be put on Lifetime. And when everybody starts playing
Nickelodeon. I mean, they're doing a game on there this week.
And then Zach, and then when everybody plays nice, guess what you could do? You can put them on. You can put them on Hallmark movie, and that's what you could do. But but no, listen, Zach, you're right. It's every Sunday that there's a narrative about this team. Zach, if you get benched, is your relationship going to be the best with the quarterback and the coach? No, it's not. Zach, if you were to tell me you're replacing me on the show with somebody else, do you think our relationship is gonna be cool after that? No, I'm gonna be like, well, what the hell? My face is above me, ladies and gentlemen. Why? But when it comes to this, I don't get where these reports are coming from. I don't know who is telling
Who's leaking them? Who's telling them?
But I do believe this. Jason Kelsey is doing the cover-up story. I do believe he might not have a heated conversation,
I'm sure
but others had. I'm pretty sure what Miles Sanders said is 100% true. Why would Miles Sanders lie for it? He has no reason to lie. And another thing too, Zach, and I want to get your opinion on this. If Jalen Hurts is sitting on the side, you saw the face expression of Jalen Hurts. He looked surprised. He looked surprised, and then he looked pissed. Pissed because he was coming back and he was down by 3, and surprised because he wasn't having a good game. But Zach, he had all the points. I believe if Jalen Hurts stays, he comes back. And the timing of the matter, Zach, what do you think is really going on here? And what is the solution? If you're Jeffrey Lurie, what is your solution? Because I have mine, but I want you to go first.
I mean, you can keep putting Band-Aids on this, but at some point you got to burn the house down and build it back up. The first thing you need to figure out is who's your quarterback. If it's Carson Wentz, all right, it's Carson Wentz, build around him. If it's Jalen Hurts, you got to find a way to move Carson Wentz. You got to build around that. If it's neither one, you got to blow it up and you got to draft a quarterback and you got to start from phase 1. I don't know what they're going to do. For some reason, they're keeping Doug Peterson. For some reason, they're keeping Howie Roseman, or would you like to call him Howard? Which I also noticed has rubbed off on Matt because he's quoting him as Howard on his post as well. I did see that on his Instagram pages.
I had a nice long talk about Matt about between the difference between Howie and Howard. We love Howie for making the right decisions. We don't like Howard.
Because Howard tries to outsmart himself, and this is the result. The Eagles have the 4th most expensive roster in the NFL. I don't know what you do at this point. The Rams were in a similar situation a few years ago, but the Rams also have a really good head coach. For the Eagles, I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. New offensive coordinator, try to fix Carson Wentz, try to build around him. O-line fixes itself, draft a wide receiver. Maybe you're a good team next year. And good is 9-7, 10-6. That's the ceiling for this team if everything goes right for them. It's never going to be 13-3 again. It's never going to be a Super Bowl again under Doug Peterson. I don't know what the Eagles are going to do moving forward. I think it's a little too early to burn the house down and build it back up, but we're getting pretty dang close, especially considering how expensive our roster is.
See, this is where I get annoyed with Jeffrey Lurie, right? Okay, we applaud him for not talking as much as Jerry Jones likes to talk about his gossip every week. All right, Zach, and I know there's some new stuff out of Big D today, but I will say this. Jeffrey Lurie doesn't say much, but there's a time where I need Jeffrey to put his foot down and decide between his friends and the team. There's one option here. If your players are not happy with your head coach, Super Bowl or not, because I hear this a lot. Zach, he's 3 years off from a Super Bowl. He just went to the playoffs last year. Guess what, Zach? If you lose your locker room, and if you lose, and if you're having heated conversations with your team, none of that matters. If there's friction in the locker room, who cares? Who cares what he did? Zach, Anthony Lynn went to the playoffs 2 years ago. He got fired. And he had a rookie quarterback this year. So let's cut the crap about the Super Bowl stuff because that doesn't matter anymore.
So and the same thing as well. Last year, Adam Gase lost his locker room. Halfway through last season, how'd it work out the season afterwards when you kept him around?
He lost Jamal Adams. Le'Veon Bell left earlier this year. And it's funny. It's like as soon as everybody leaves, they magically have fun again. I just find that fun. Just find that fun.
I don't know what's going. I mean, Ryan Tannehill became a success story. I mean, Carson Wentz could leave Philly and become a success story. There's a lot going on here. We got to evaluate, and Again, we're going to be covering the playoffs for the most part in the next month or two, but after that, Eagles, there's going to be a lot of changes that need to be made. Otherwise, I'll be sitting here saying they're going 3-13 next year because as of right now, the current roster, current coaching staff is 3-13, no matter who's quarterback, because of how broken this team is.
Zach, I'll do everybody one favor. I'll just load up Madden and fire Doug Peterson myself since no one else wants to do it. I'll just do that.
You should tweet it, and we'll get it retweeted a bunch of times until Jeffrey Lurie sees it. It's a new challenge coming up after this around the NBA, including the Sixers. They go up against the Wizards tonight, and then tomorrow night they go up against Brooklyn. Which game are we expecting to see Joel Embiid play in, and which game will he sit in, assuming that is going to be the deal? Stay tuned. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome back here on the More Than Philly Sports Talk. We're just wrapping up the disaster of the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as covering Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, which could be possibly the first overall pick in April. Gavin, I mean, we know that one franchise in Philly has actually done something interesting in this offseason. They rebuilt the front office, they rebuilt the coaching staff, and they rebuilt the roster around their current superstars. They go up against the Washington Wizards, who, while have been struggling in games, they've been close and competitive, and that could be a possible problem for the Sixers. But the Sixers have single-handedly taken the life out of every team they've played this year, except for Washington. Every other, and of course Cleveland they lost to, but Charlotte, they took the life out of them. A couple other games are in there. Again, we haven't played many teams that are good yet. Of course, the records right now are too early to tell. But Gavin, what are your keys to a win tonight against Washington, and how confident are you the Sixers get it done?
Well, Zach, if you're playing Washington, you're going to have to stop what's been working. What killed you last time? Russell Westbrook. He had a triple-double. I don't think he had that many points, but Russell Westbrook was having his way, and others was having his way. Look, Zach, Tobias Harris is on a roll right now. He wasn't on a roll the first time he played. If Ben Simmons has to be aggressive, let him be aggressive. All right, we need that. We need it a lot out of Ben Simmons, especially tonight. If Joel Embiid decides to sit out this game, when you look at the defense of this team, it's perfect. Washington can't shoot. Russell Westbrook can't shoot. Zach, I shoot better than Russell Westbrook. I'm gonna just put that out there, ladies and gentlemen. I shoot better than Russell Westbrook. And it's like, if you look at the Sixers and how they're built, there's these games where I looked at the Sixers and like, they should lose this one. And what they do, Zach, they didn't. They have the pieces to do what they need to get done. They get the job done. All right. They have the it factor. What I mean by they have the it factor, Zach, they got shooters all over the place. They got Seth Curry, Danny Green. You got Tyrese Maxey. Matisse Thybulle hits one here and there. Tobias could knock one down. Ben, we know you can hit one. You just choose not to. That's all good, but you can do it. I mean, Zach, and even Dwight Howard, and if everything goes right, Dwight Howard's going to give you a 3-ball. There's no reason they should lose tonight. Now, to answer the question, your original question, if I'm Joel Embiid, first of all, I would love Joel Embiid to play both because they don't play 3 games in a row. But if I'm Joel Embiid, if you're going to sit out tonight, you got to sit out versus Washington.
Right.
And then play versus Brooklyn, and then play versus the Nuggets. You have to, because that's what the stuff is real. There's no KD, but this is when we start to see what the Sixers are really made of.
I mean, it's the theory of not taking a game for granted, and sitting Embiid would send that message out. But with that being said, you should be strategic. I don't know. Honestly, if I'm the head coach, I do play him tonight. I take the win. I consider it, I wouldn't say it's an easy win, but with Embiid in, it's an easier win. I take the win here. You go to 7-1, and then you compete against Brooklyn tomorrow night. Honestly, I would keep Embiid in for both, but of course we know with his health, you want to keep him as healthy as possible. He's the bread and butter of this basketball team. But with that being said, I'm fine with either night. I do want to just point one cool thing out. If Embiid does play tonight and sit tomorrow night, the centers will be DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard. It's 2012 all over again. But back to tonight, what's the key to success? You need to slow down Bradley Beal, shut down Russell Westbrook, and Tobias Harris needs to continue to shoot well. Danny Green needs to continue to shoot well. Seth Curry needs to keep being a playmaker. This team's so well balanced, they just have to continue to do it consistently on a day in, day out notice. And they haven't given me any reason to believe they're not going to. They haven't been able to successfully continue to go out against the inferior opponent and beat them, except for when they were in Cleveland, which was without Embiid, so that's cause for concern. But Ben looks more aggressive even with Embiid in there. I imagine if you decide to go with Embiid being out, I expect Ben to be a lot more aggressive. I want 25 from him every time Embiid's out.
I mean, that's the reason why I fed for Ben Simmons every night or every day on the show. Is for that reason right there. When Joel's out, this is your team. We know what you can do. You even said in a press conference, I know what I could do. Do it. Show me. Show me so I don't look delusional. Because Zach, you got, I mean, I go what? I go all the way around the woods through grandma's house. I don't know what I do for Ben Simmons, but I defend Ben Simmons for anything just to not have James Harden here. And the least you could do is when the days that Joel Embiid is not playing, just give me 25. Just do it. But tonight's game is like, I have a good feeling about Tyrese Maxey tonight.
He's looked great all year. He's looked really good so far. He's a playmaker. His jump shot's starting to get there. I'm telling you, he's athletic. He reminds me of possibly a Russell Westbrook with a little bit of a nicer jump shot. He wants to get inside. He wants to be a playmaker. He's got to develop. He's coming out of Kentucky, but I like what I see from him. And then one more thing we want to point out today, of course, around the NBA, Gavin, Chicago Bulls last night upsetting the Portland Trail Blazers. Again, I said this earlier in the show a few weeks ago. I don't believe in Portland this year. Again, Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum both in double figures, even more than that. I think 20-plus points each. I pulled the box score to analyze. But, again, 111-108, Chicago Bulls over the Portland Trail Blazers. Do you believe that they still can make the playoffs even after a rough start?
Well, Billy Donovan's not no slouch of a coach. Zach, we thought the year that they got rid of Kevin Durant, that was it for them. And what they do, they end up still being in the 5th or 6th seed. Gets MVP. You get Paul George. You do the same thing. You make a run. What happened last year? You get rid of everybody. There's nobody there. And you got Chris Paul and a nice couple pieces. And what does he do? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander steps up. Chris Paul leads you guys to a playoff. Zach, Billy Donovan can do it. It's just the help of Larry Marketing and the crew, and how much can he get out of this team before it's over? Zach, it's 72 games this year. We gotta see what it's gonna look again. I'm gonna tell you this right now, Zach. There's gonna be a lot of new faces in the Eastern Conference this year. New faces, and a lot of old faces. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of Sixers, a lot of Brooklyn's, a lot of Miami's gonna be there. Boston, Milwaukee. I don't know about the Pacers being there.
They will be. They always find a way.
Yeah, but the new face.
They're one of those teams that always will beat a team worse. Any team that's worse than they'll always beat, but they also can't really compete on the higher level.
They get you any given Sunday. I believe they get you on a Sunday. That's just me. Yeah,
for sure. That New Year's blowout last year against the Sixers. But look, Sixers play tonight. I'm hoping that they can pull it off. I'm not sure who the starting lineup is going to be, depending on whether or not Embiid is in or out. But with that being said, Gavin, anything else you wanted to cover today on the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show?
No, Zach, I mean, I know we got to get into the Anthony Lynn. I'll say that for tomorrow. But all in all, guys, I'm going to stick by my word. I think Doug Pearson goes by sometime at the end of this week.
You lose your locker room. Doesn't look good going forward. Thank you, everybody, for joining today.
You put that in there as well.
We will continue to cover the Eagles drama because it's not pretty right now. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a great, great day.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post